Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Edo Studio in Government House, Benin City. I have with me here the Managing Director of Benin Enterprise Limited in the person of Mr. Ikponmwonsa Osayande. Welcome to our studio, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. We want to look at what your organization is all about. So probably we'll start with that, but we'd like for you to give us a little details about yourself.
My name is Ikponmwonsa Edward Osayande. I am a certified public accountant in the US and also chartered ICANN in Nigeria. I have been with Mr. Governor since 2017. As a matter of fact, the Benin Enterprise Park, as it was then called Benin Industrial Park, was one of the first projects he assigned to me.
Okay, so let's start from that. So give us a brief of what the vision that bettered this enterprise.
Mr. Governor has already looked at the state when he came in, and he had designed 6 thematic pillars. 2 that I am actually involved in are the economic reform and infrastructural development. Now, the Benin Enterprise Park project came up as a result of the need to create commerce, improve commerce, increase trading, increase businesses, create a system, a situation where businesses will come to Edo State and set up. We consulted and had an MOU, our first one that time, with Mahindra Engineering Group. They came in, they spent about 6 months with us here. We chose the location for the park, which most people don't realize is actually equidistant from other parts of the state, including Delta State, because Sapele Road is a thoroughfare road, even though it's in bad condition right now. We also chose that location. We also chose the location because of the raw materials already available in the state to support the 14 sectors we had picked up then. Note that the document that we came up with, the master plan, is a dynamic document that will move and change over time. The criteria for choosing those 14 sectors had to do with, 1, the amount of GDP they provided for the state, the amount of jobs that they will create for the state, and also the community CSR for that area of the state that will benefit the local communities.
Which location are we talking about now?
The location for the Enterprise Park is in Ikponmwonsa local government, about 10 minutes drive from the bypass.
Okay.
It's 997.71 hectares of land. And we have decided to develop it modularly. In the initial thought process was to do a PPP arrangement. Okay. We started that, we explored that possibility. Then we had the interest rate issues. As a foreign direct investor, when you go into any economy, any country, or anywhere you want to invest your money, there must be an exit strategy. All right. Now, if you don't know how you're going to repatriate your investment and profits at the end, or you're not sure how that's going to happen, you now have a situation where you're not reluctant to come in there. The major issue we have with Nigeria at that time was we did not have an exchange rate that you could rely on or use to hedge. Okay. There was the black market, there were so many different values until we came with this single-digit exchange rate system now, which is in its infancy. Secondly, COVID came about. Yeah. And then elections. Nobody goes into a new environment during an election because of the uncertainty. So Mr. Governor has decided that we should go in a different direction. We should take some part of that land, and then we as government provide the horizontal infrastructure such that businesses will now come in there and set up. And then once we start having those first mover advantage come in, the anchor tenants come in, it will be easier to now market to other people to come in. Lagos is congested. Sure. Onitsha is congested. The cost of doing business there is very high. If we can provide power, water, light, security, gas, which we're already in talks with the different providers, then we can have a situation where we now bring in small to medium scale businesses, low polluting, because it's a community, to come in and then take parcels of land. That part of the policy is being developed also, and then start to do business. The idea is to get them in as quickly as possible, start doing. We have 2 major anchor tenants coming in already that we're working with right now. So we're trying to get it from a greenfield to a brownfield as quickly as possible.
Yeah, those anchor tenants, you want to give us details about what their remits are?
Those are, see, when you are in negotiations, you don't you reference some of this information. Okay. They will be the ones to announce we are going to Benin. Okay. Because Edo State has shown them love and shown them that this is somewhere to be. They're the ones that will sell Edo State once they come in, after they've gone through the experience of trying to set up, because the process of setting up a business of that magnitude, the barriers to entry are high.
Okay.
So when they come in, they will be the ones to do all that, because they want everybody to know that this is where we're located now, in conjunction with the state.
Yeah, but now that you say that, the governor has recently tried to let's revamp and change the focus. So where are we with that now, in terms of government now want to be the one to set a benchmark and say, let's do it so that we can attract people?
Well,
so where are we with that plan now?
We are on course.
Okay.
We are working on the policy documents to, when you come in, most people that want to come and do business in your city, they do their due diligence.
Okay.
Because they know more about the business than government. Imagine you going into ethanol production.
All right.
We don't know anything about that. We are trying to give you the land, help you with the licenses and the building permits you need and the CFO you need, and then provide security, make the place safe, make sure there's light, there's water, there's gas, if gas needs to come in there, because some of these manufacturing plants require gas.
Okay.
Then if we can provide all of that, then you now come in, and then your cost to market now becomes lower than your competition in Lagos. Then you are already in a good position. You can now probably do a price differentiation or a local strategy for your business. Yeah.
So can we now say now that in terms of, maybe you need to enlighten the public in terms of the ease of doing business in Edo State, in Benin particularly, especially with your enterprise?
The ease of doing business has an office already inside the, and it's a committee. It's actually the third, I believe, major committee in government after the ESCO and the Security Committee. There's a committee made of mostly of commissioners and a few of us. And the secretary is the MD of ESIPO, Edo State Investment Promotion Office. Okay. So there's already a concerted effort to create a bouquet of, or a compendium of what we will call tax incentives and other federal government initiatives that can be applicable to the states, and then even others that the state will generate on their own, like when we give waivers to farmland owners not to pay land rent or moratorium for 2 or 3 years. Those are things that will help bring them in quicker, because when they look at their cost to come in to do business here as opposed to going to somewhere else, and it's lower for them here, they will come here naturally. Okay. So what we are working on now is our phase 1A, which is probably about 250 hectares right now. Right. Might change if we get more people interested, or when we get more people interested, is where we want to now provide those infrastructure I was talking about. Okay. So that they can now come in. You cannot go and sell an idea to somebody and when they get there, you're just looking at bush. They have to see activity going on. They have to see bulldozers, payloaders, drainages, offices being built, so that they know that they're coming in here to come and plug and play, just like how you develop suburbs abroad. Okay. You go in there, you check, you have all the survey plans done, you have your CFO process, because if you come in, you bring me a proposal. I give you my due diligence checklist. You bring me your all the documents that are on the checklist. Then we go through a process, because I need to see your design layout to know exactly how much land you need. We want to mitigate against people coming in and say, I need 50 hectares, when their business only requires 2 hectares. Okay. So that we can market this thing properly. Because the method at which we give out the land, allocate the land, has to be systemic and deliberate until we get to them. Because by the time we get to phase 2, whoever came in phase 1 would have come in probably at a cheaper or lower rate. Now there's competition, we have to respond to the market. Okay. Yeah, we have to respond to the market. So we have to manage all this thing, because the ultimate plan is for the Benin Enterprise Park Limited to be a sustaining company of government, where government will have, at the end of the day, government will have oversight over it continuously, but government will also get revenue from it going to IGR. Okay. So that means the level we are in now is to try to say that we do the base work and lay the foundation. We have 2 anchor tenants coming in. We are preparing for them. Once they come in, we will now be able to market more effectively. You see, competitive advantage states that you must be efficient, effective, responsive to your customers, which is all the tenants, and also innovative. So we are putting all those things in play to say, okay, what are we going to get from this process now? What is within our reach in the next 2 or 3 years? What do we need to, low-hanging fruit that we need to capitalize on right now? And then remember, we also have certain, like for example, ESIA, we have to get approval from federal government. So those things that are not inside under our purview, we have to use extra effort and means to get them done quickly so that we can get all this, because everything, I want a situation where when you apply to come into the park, I can tell you that in 30 days, 45 days, you are either breaking ground or at least you have gotten everything you need from the state government. Now you will not tell us when are you coming to start. Because remember, most companies, when they want to move, they need approvals from their boards, they need approvals from their bankers. So they come here, they get a lot of information, they get some provisional approvals. We want to make sure that we get all those things to them as quickly as possible so that any waiting is on their side. We are anxious and eager for them to come in and start as quickly as possible. Okay. Some might even take 18 months to financial close. We are aware of all that. But as long as the process has started, we have gotten to a point where your diligence and ours are on point, are at par. Then we know that, okay, yes, this one is, you see where you are, we have demarcated, it's just for you to come in. When the time elapses, whatever we have agreed to as recourse will take place. Either we take the land back and give somebody who is ready or whatever. But those are issues that we will have spelled out by them using the Minister of Justice to guide.
Okay. Now, sir, you spoke about earlier on sustainability. And given that this present administration will just have roughly, give or take, about a year.
Yes.
So what is now the main target in terms of what are we closing up with, and how going forward that we're able to lay that foundation that subsequent government will be able to build on that?
I was at the last government retreat in Lagos, and the theme was finishing strong.
Sure.
And it was clear to everybody there from Mr. Governor's speech that what we have achieved so far will not make any difference or any sense if we don't finish strong. What we have left to do with the time that we have, we must do the best we can to get to a point where it's irreversible. Let me give you an example. This tag of MOU government, it's funny because a lot of people don't realize or have started to realize that a memorandum of understanding is more or less a gentleman's agreement between two people that want to do business. Okay. The idea is for you and I to put our responsibilities, what we are responsible for, on the table, such that we have a clear understanding of what is required from you and what is required from me. Now, most of the time, when you are looking at private sector participation, if you take the project out of government to the private sector and they are funding, then there's probably the need for an SPV to be created where government will have some shares or some equity in. But it's majorly driven by the private sector. So what that does is, irrespective of which governor or whoever takes over, some of these projects domiciled in the private sector will continue to grow. Okay. They will not have that much interference from government anymore. Government is not even supposed to be in business in the first place, except in certain sectors that actually help the economy grow, that they need to focus on. Then at some point, they will even step back.
So that's where we are now. But looking at the community where this enterprise is based, for the immediate, because certainly they'll be looking forward and so they've taken our land. So what is the response in terms of what are they expected to benefit, and how can they really take advantage of the presence of the companies that this enterprise is going to be warehousing?
We will probably have a policy document that requires most of the tenants to have some sort of pledge or contribution to the CSR for the communities. Okay. The communities are going to benefit from employment. They're going to benefit from training. We have always had the community people, the community's representatives from the grassroots to the leaders of the communities involved in the process. We're not going to a community and telling them this is what we want it to do for you. For example, if we go to that place, there are 3 major communities there, or 5, 3 to 5 major villages there, communities, let me not call them villages. If I go to Yanuma, for example, I'm not going to tell them that company A wants to come and build hospital when I know their problem is water, for example. Okay. So that is the interaction that will continue to take place. And then the young people in the area, because, we always have this local content initiative in federal government, state governments, where you will say, okay, you must employ certain people from the community, you must use different things from the community, because you have to keep as much of the capital that is being turned around in the community for it to be vibrant. Yeah. You can't come and take and then exit. You are going to take what you need to take to exit, but you must leave a lot in the community that the community sees and feels your presence. For example, if we get power to that place, or when we get power to that place, I don't expect that if there's a school nearby that needs power, we will deny them the power. Or a PHC. That would be a reason for us to even think about setting up a PHC close by or in there. There's one already, but it is not very close. We never can tell. These are things that will come up, natural progression as we grow the park.
What have you to say in terms of looking at generally in terms of this government, in terms of looking at where we're coming from and where we are, and in terms of general performance? What?
I think from that perspective, being a believer in and a follower of the governor who brought me in, and I embraced and bought into his vision, and I see it and have to commend him for his steadfastness and doggedness. And he's one man, but he's handling so much in doing all of this for the state. You see, when you look at all the thematic pillars that we have, the 6 that we identified, I mentioned 2 that I was actively involved in, but you have to think about education, health, and how you prioritize all these things and gets most of these things done. Our TVET program is running very well. Edo Best, Edo Jobs. We have a lot of things going on. Okay. Yeah, so we have the New Town Development, which is another company, just like Enterprise Park, but that one is for residential. It's also ongoing. So we have a lot of initiatives that have started and have kicked off and have benefited a lot of people, but we're not telling our story as quickly as we should, which is why you are here now and which is what we expect to hear going forward. Because some of these things need to be documented such that whomever comes later, he will realize that the man will always stand on the right side of history.
Yeah, but talking about the Benin Enterprise, what will you say so far that's added into the system from the things we've done since 2017, I guess? So yeah.
2017, we had a vision. An idea was conceived. We came in, we did the studies, we came up with the design master plan, feasibility studies, everything was done. Then we had the issue with trying to get, we went and sourced for some investors. Some of them didn't work out, that's a different story. But these things take time. Then we now were delayed by COVID for a couple of 2 or 3 years. Then we are back, we never lost sight of it, but we knew that at that point in time, COVID, elections were distractions. So it was not going, we went to Dubai to look for investors one time, and I spoke to an investor and I said, what is your plan for Nigeria, Edo State in particular? And he said, they don't have a plan now for the next 3 years. And I realized that they were waiting until after the elections. The timing just made sense to me. They were waiting for after our elections. Makes sense. If I were in the investor's shoes, I would do the same thing. Okay. Yeah. So all these things are part of, and then the global economy was in a decline after COVID also. So most of the companies that had expansionary theories of expanding their businesses had to take it down a little bit and wait to settle down and instead move towards more profit margins as opposed to creating more businesses, slow it down, reduce costs, and see if you can increase the gap of your profit margin. So some of those things played a role. Where we are now is we are going back to where we left off and saying, look, let's change this. Let us leave the private sector out of it for now. Let us put something on the table that will show the private sector why they should come back here.
When you look back thereafter, what will you be proud of or say this is the legacy that while I was here, we're able to put this in place?
That it is running functionally, it is generating revenue for the government, and the park is completely full. There's a residential component to the park. There's the banking sector where it's a whole ecosystem of its own. So when we get to that point where we are 70–80% occupied, then we'll now say, okay, it will now become a success story also. We need to get to that point gradually, and it might not be during our time. Yeah. But we have to put things in place that whomever comes afterwards find a path to move forward and see where we are coming from and also know why we did what we did to get to this point. They will always come with their own ideas to improve upon it. That's fine. But let them have a ground, a solid foundation to move it forward. So that if you come in, you don't need to know anybody.
You just walk straight into
Yes.
the system.
You don't need to. Look at the Chinese companies that they bypass. They all came into Edo State and acquired the land from the communities and set up. They did not need the state government. So here the state government now provided, and there are some of the people that are mostly interested in the park because it's closer to Cocoa Pot. It will be closer to Benin Port once it's up and running. Yes. So they are looking ahead, and that's fine.
So as we round off, so what is your message to Edolite and more especially to investors in terms of what we have in place now? Yeah.
We have a park, an enterprise park, that we expect them to, we'll send out information. We have program information memoranda that we will send out. We expect people to be curious about the park. Once we break ground and start moving from greenfield to brownfield, get 1 or 2 anchor tenants involved, we will now be more publicly involved in marketing the park itself. We just want them to know that all the raw materials you require in Edo State. We are looking at power solutions. We have water solutions, and it's a secure area. We're also looking at an alternate road to get to the park because we don't have purview over repairing Sapler Road. There's an alternate road that we're also exploring that Mr. Governor told us to go and look at. Because his inspiration is our perspiration. He will think of something and tell you, what of that place? Why don't you go there and see? And we are looking at it. So that you don't have to go to Sapler Road to get to the park. So if traffic or transportation is a problem, and then let me also mention this. The Oshiomore River is close to the park. So most manufacturing concerns that are bringing in equipment to come and set up don't have to come by road. They can come by barge.
Through the river.
Yes. So I would say we will get back to the drawing board, move everything forward, and then let the public be more aware. I will be coming from time to time to give you information so you can share for us, so that we can let them know this is where we are, this is what we're doing. We're going to have a timeline of activities showing what we are going to, where we are coming from, what we need to get there, and who's interested, let us know. We have different sectors, but we are open to more ideas.
We appreciate your time with us. Just like you said, we hope that in the next couple of weeks, we'll be back here again to share more information as the program develops and as we get reactions to what we do.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.